Welcome, community champions. Are you committed to fostering inclusivity and justice for disabled students on campus? If so, you're in the right place. Join us today for an enlightening discussion hosted by disability advocacy organizations Allied, Diversability, DAB, and DAF. Together, let's explore avenues for raising disability consciousness at universities and empowering change.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. Can I have everyone's attention, please? Thank you so much for coming today in person. We got amazing guests from Brown University. I actually met Arnell at it was a conference at the National Academies of Science. It was just really amazing, and I heard all about the work that they're doing at Brown University, and I was like, you should come over to Allied. So I just want to welcome everybody. For anybody who doesn't know, this is an Allied program, and I'm the director of Allied. That's Allies Leading in Learning, Inclusion, Education of Disabilities. What we're all about is basically creating, hopefully, a safe space where we can come together, talk about disabilities, and lead hopefully towards inclusion, specifically at Northeastern, but now we're expanding. We're creating ties. I'm really excited that we've now have connections with Brown University, but also we're really happy to be here at Northeastern. So Northeastern is funding Allied. It's from the Office Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. And it's because one of Northeastern's main goals is to actually encourage inclusivity and diversity on campus. So please, like, raise your hands or clap, or I don't know, with your heart, cheer on the fact that we have Brown University students. Please come, and we look forward to what you have to say. Thank you.
Like Mona said, welcome all of you, and let's welcome our featured guests, the leaders from disability justice organizations at Brown, from the DJAD and the DJAF, that is the Disability Justice at Brown and the Disability Justice as Public Health. And like as usual, I'm not moderating today. There's a person from Brown University who's going to be moderating today. She's called Alexa K. Alexa is a second-year Masters of Public Health student at Brown, concentrating in public mental health. They are involved with both Brown organizations present today as an executive board member of Disability Justice at Brown and a co-founder of Disability Justice as Public Health. Identifying as disabled, chronically ill, and neurodiverse, Alexa envisions and works towards collective liberations every day. Alexa, thank you for helping me host today. The stage is yours right now.
Farheen. Oh, is it okay? Oh, we're still good. We're still on. Sorry. Just to everyone. Oh, okay. So just so everyone's aware, on Zoom, so we have 19 participants on Zoom, just so the whole room knows, in person, and we just thought we might have had a tech issue, but I hope that you can still hear us all okay, and read the audio descriptions there, the audio captioning. So thanks so much for joining us today, and thank you to Farheen and Mona, everyone at Allied, for organizing this event with us, for hosting us here at Northeastern. So as Farheen said, I'm Alexa. Just to give a visual description, I am a white, gender non-conforming person with short hair, like brownish hair, and navy sweater and gray jeans. And so part of the reason why we wanted to put on this event is, well, for one, we are really impressed with what Allied and Northeastern is doing to raise disability consciousness at this university, and also just create this ripple effect through higher education. And so we hope that showcasing what these organizations are doing will help to raise awareness of this disability justice and disability advocacy movement, and maybe motivate other groups and programs and centers to take note of all this amazing work. So the first groups that we'll be presenting are DJAF and DJAB, and Farheen explained what the acronym stands for. And the leaders from these groups are Anna Owert. So Anna is a graduating senior at Brown studying computer science with a focus on creating accessible technology and art. She is the current longest serving executive board member at Disability Justice at Brown, and identifies as blind, queer, and neurodivergent, and hopes to continue to help create spaces where disabled students can find community. And then Arnell Hout is a senior at Brown studying public health and science, technology, and society on the pre-med track. She is part of both DJAB and DJAF as the executive board member of DJAB and the co-founder of DJAF. And Arnell identifies as chronically ill and neurodiverse, and she's grateful to be part of such a supportive disability community at Brown and beyond. So please welcome them.
Hi everyone. Thank you so much for having us. Okay. We're really excited to be here, and we're so excited to be collaborating with Northeastern. So thank you so much. I'm Arana. For a quick visual description, I'm a white woman in her 20s with long brown hair. I'm wearing purple glasses and a teal flowered shirt. And currently on the screen is a slide that says Brown University's Disability Justice Movement. We're led by disabled, mentally ill, neurodivergent, and chronically ill students at Brown. And then the two logos for our groups are on the screen. In the top left is Disability Justice at Brown. And there's a purple circle, two purple circles with different orange logos showing different types of disability. And then in the bottom right is the logo for Disability Justice as Public Health, which has hands of a variety of colors lifting up a light bulb that says DJAF in the middle.
Yeah, and hi everyone, I'm Anna. I use she, her, hers pronouns. And just to give a quick visual description of myself, I'm a white woman in her early 20s, with long blonde hair, and I'm wearing a shiny blue shirt and a gray jacket and black jeans.
Perfect. So we're gonna get started with sort of defining this term, disability justice, which is in both of our organization names. And it's really focused on looking at the intersecting ways that systems of oppression impact people with disabilities. So recognizing that it is not ableism functioning alone, but it's really connected to other systems. So it was founded in 2005 as a term, sort of created as a term by disabled queer women of color, that felt that the disability rights movement was not as inclusive as they wanted it to be, and really wanting to centralize the experiences of people experiencing intersectional oppression. So there's a variety of groups up on the screen just as a start, but recognizing that everyone's lived experience is different based on the other identities they might experience the world through.
Yeah, so just to give a quick history of DJAB at Brown, Disability Justice at Brown, it was founded in 2016 by Yima Yang and Milana Krongelb, two queer disabled women of color, out of Project Let's, which is still a mental health like peer organization at Brown. Some disabled students wanted a group that was more focused on disability as a whole and not just focused on mental health. And so DJAB was born in 2016. And one of their first initiatives or goals was to create a cultural center on campus for disabled students so that we would have space to gather as a community. And so in 2019, they created a proposal for this space and presented it to the Division of Campus Life. And it was rejected. And instead, we gained the Disability Justice Student Initiative, which is a couple of paid students who are able to get paid to run workshops and educational programs for students with disability. So it sounds like similar to Allied. And then in 2020, that was founded. And something else we had also done was, although we were unable to create a cultural center for disabled students, we were able to create a study space in one of our libraries. So we do have a room where it's like a very accessible space in the libraries with like raisable desks and like adjustable lighting, fidget toys, just kind of more of like a quiet study space, which disabled students are able to use. So that was definitely one of our accomplishments as well. And then in 2022, DJAF was founded, Disability Justice as Public Health, which is a new group founded out of the School of Public Health to dedicated to looking at disability justice in the field of public health. So DJAP's mission overall is advocating for the collective liberation of people who identify as disabled at Brown University and beyond, looking beyond the superficial markers of diversity to facilitate radical disability justice transformation of the university. And our one of our main mottos is like, we do not have single issue movement because we don't have single issue lives. So some of the key principles that we follow are embracing disability as an identity, not just as a diagnosis, recognizing disabled people as whole in their bodies as they are, and embracing the deep roots of disabled history, culture, and activism. That one's also mine, right? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So some of the initiatives that I've already kind of touched on are so more recently, because now we have the DJSI, Disability Justice Student Initiative, which is kind of doing more educational workshops. We've been focusing on community building. So we just had a roundtable conversation with the Rhode Island School of Design's Disability Chats, I guess kind of DJAB equivalent, talking about disability as more of like an environmental, like disabling environments. We've also held neurodiversity mixers. We had a picnic and animal therapy event. We've had over the garden wall cozy fall screenings. And we're also doing study sessions and body doubling events to create space where people are able to study for finals. And in terms of advocacy, we created the study space that was created in 2019, the room in the library. And we also we were the ones who created DJSI, so the Disability Justice Student Initiative, trying to create more opportunities for disability education, like workshops for other students on campus. We also successfully more recently were able to transition DJSI from being run under Campus Life to being run by the LGBTQ Center and the Sarah Doyle Women's Center. So now it's more of an identity-based initiative, which is what we were hoping. And we've also successfully advocated for hiring a director of accessibility services at Brown, who also identifies with lived experience of disability. That's something we really wanted because like we wanted students to have someone who they could like look up to and could identify with as like someone who was like part of the university and like kind of in that position of power. And yeah, we're still advocating for the creation of a disability justice cultural center on campus. And we're also advocating for the creation of a disability studies concentration as well. We've successfully created a disability studies working group of faculty and staff, so we're moving in the right direction.
Awesome. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about DJAF. So Alexa and I met through DJAB, which was really amazing. And both of us are studying public health. I'm an undergrad and Alexa's an MPH student. And for us, there were things we noticed, particularly in the field of public health, that we wanted to address. So we are dedicated to transforming the field of public health by centering the lived experiences of deaf, mad, disabled, mentally ill, neurodiverse, and chronically ill community members through advocacy, education, and mutual support. So our mission is particularly focused sort of in this setting of public health, and changing sort of the status quo of how disability is seen, and addressing sort of the ableism that shows up not only in the same ways as everywhere else, but in a particularly unique set of ways as well. And really centering lived experience and advancing disability as part of diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives. So we're relatively new, but we've been really excited about what we've been able to do in the past year. So we hosted, I think the biggest event we hosted the Anti-Ableist Research in Public Health and Medicine panel. Over 450 people RSVP'd, which was amazing. We had 4 guest speakers, and we had 7 co-sponsors from across Brown. So working with academic departments, we partnered with the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Office at the School of Public Health, a research group based out of the med school. So really trying to broaden where we're reaching and people are learning. We've also done some social events. We collaborated with other students, grad student organizations to host the Welcome Back Renaissance themed party this fall. We worked with the DEI office over the summer to have a lunch and learn event about Disability Independence Month. And then we also had an accessible tea party and an intersecting identities celebration, which have just been really great to really build community with lots of other groups on campus. In terms of advocacy events, we conducted a school-wide survey about the accessibility of the School of Public Health building, which is in a separate building from the rest of Brown. And one of the things we found was that the doors are particularly heavy and did not have any push buttons. So there are now push buttons on those doors, which has been really exciting to see. What seems like a small thing took a lot of work, but it was very exciting to see that change. And the other thing, another successful effort is we advocated for the creation of a quiet room at the School of Public Health, which will be created over winter break and will open in early 2024. And then in terms of raising awareness, we were featured in the newspaper at Brown. We've worked with the DEI office a lot, and we presented at a conference over the summer about the work we've been doing, which has been really amazing.
Okay, so in terms of like lessons learned, I think in general for both of our organizations, I think the main thing that we've learned is the importance of community building. And this is especially important on a college campus where, you know, we graduate after 4 years, right? Like it makes it really hard to continue and sustain initiatives and like, you know, volunteer clubs like DJAB. And so I think building that community and like ensuring that continuity we've learned is incredibly important. And as part of that, ensuring that we are prioritizing students with like intersectional experiences. So like prioritizing, you know, students who identify with multiple different marginalized identities, or like essentially trying to center people who are most marginalized in order to be able to successfully continue the work that we're trying to do. And this also includes, you know, identifying and bonding and like creating connections with allies, and recognizing that we are all interdependent. And so, like, you know, it really takes a community to keep initiatives like this going. Also recognizing another lesson that we've learned is the importance of having a praxis and a movement, which, as I kind of mentioned before, but like because we're kind of on a college campus, like the work we're doing, like we always need to have a plan to like, you know, continue it after graduation, and like celebrating like the small wins that we're able to make, recognizing that, you know, disability justice like inherently doesn't really fit with institutional principles, and so just trying to you know, accomplish the work that we're able to accomplish. And disability justice as a concept, like in general, is also very new, and a lot of people like it takes time to like fully understand like what that means, and to understand like to figure out like how to go about, you know, implementing this like on college campuses as well. And that it plays into that too, is like people generally have good intentions, but also like it's hard to like, or there's a difference between intent and then like translating that into change. And so I think that's the part that we're continuing to work on and build towards. So yeah, I think that's generally just like trying to stay true to disability justice principles, and you know, as you know, change is always happening on college campuses, and trying to ensure that we're centering the people who are most impacted, without whitewashing our content or like our mission or any of that. So yeah, do you have anything to add?
I think that's great.
Okay.
So some of our future goals that we are still working on in terms of community and support, that's been really big for us. So sort of continuing to build that, and ensuring sustainability, as we mentioned, that as excited as we all are about the work when we're here, that we always need more students. And then in terms of collaboration, continuing to work with other groups that are working on advocacy really generally, working with diversity, equity, and inclusion at Brown, working with different offices, initiatives, departments, other things happening on campus. And then the other thing that's really exciting about Brown is there is starting to be a lot of action and conversation. Well, action is a strong word. There's been a lot of conversation about disability. There's a newly formed alumni group through the alumni office that's the Disability and Neurodiversity Alumni Coalition, which is really exciting. So that's one of our big goals, is to connect with them and build more connections between current students and alumni. And then also working with, there's a working group for disability studies, there's a reading group for disability studies, there's Project Let's, which does a lot of peer community mental health, but sort of trying to coalesce all those things together and be more coordinated. And then continual advocacy, continuing to hold events, creating and sharing anti-ableist resources, and then eventually continuing to advocate for a cultural center, a place where people can gather and be together. So that is what we have for our short presentation. But up on the screen, there are 2 short links. So if you want to get involved, you can visit our 2 tiny URLs, which are tinyurl.com/DJAF site and tinyurl.com/DJAB2023. We also have our group emails and our individual emails. So we're really excited to be partnering with you guys and hope you've enjoyed the first part of the event.
Okay, thanks so much, both of you. And now we're going to hear from Diversability, which is a Northeastern University group, disability-related group here. And I'm sure some of you know the group that I'm talking about. So we're going to hear from Emma Albert, who is a junior at Northeastern studying public health. She's a current president of Diversability after serving as the vice president for a year. Emma identifies as disabled and queer and is passionate about pursuing a career at the intersection of disability justice and public health, as well as addressing barriers and fostering a sense of community for disabled students in higher ed. So thanks so much, Emma. Please come on up.
Trying to figure out the best place to stand because I want people to see me here, but I also don't want to block anyone over here. Maybe I can do something in the middle.
Yeah.
Okay. That's really good. Okay, so hi everyone. As Alexa mentioned, my name is Emma, and just to give a brief visual description of myself before we begin, I'm a 20-year-old white woman with long brown hair, wearing a brown t-shirt, blue jeans, and black boots, and I'm sitting in my blue wheelchair. And the slide up right now says Diversability at Northeastern, and we have a picture of our logo, which is a yellow circle that in the middle reads Diversability in red. And we are the first open to all undergraduate and graduate disability alliance that is run by and for disabled students. Thank you. Okay, so I just want to quickly shout out our other eBoard members before we begin, just really quickly. We have our Vice President, Alexa, our Communications and Graphic Designer, Nicole, our Scheduling Coordinator, Lua, our Secretary, Abigail, and then our Treasurer, Ashnu. And I just wanted to highlight them really quickly because I would not be able to run this club and do this work on my own. It is definitely a collective effort. So unfortunately, a lot of them are in classes or on co-op and aren't able to be here today, but just wanted to give a quick shout out and thanks to them. So in terms of our origin story, Diversability was started back in 2021 by a pair of disabled students that were kind of frustrated with the lack of disability representation, visibility, and also accessibility at Northeastern. One of our co-founders is sitting over there, Joanna, shout out to her, but she was at Fall Fest her freshman year and saw that there were no disability groups on campus, and also saw how inaccessible Fall Fest was to begin with. So as you do, she took to Reddit and connected with some other disabled students on there that had similar frustrations, and they decided to form Diversability. And they had tentative recognition in the fall of 2021, and then we received official recognition from the university in the spring and summer of 2022. And at the time, there were no other open to all disability clubs or a disabled cultural center. And now there's obviously more disability groups on campus, but there's still not a disabled cultural center. And because of that, disabled students didn't have a place to meet, talk, or organize with one another. So we felt like that was something that needed to change. And I also think it's important to note that since our founding, members and eBoard members have since gone on to form other groups and initiatives in their own respective colleges. One example of this is DICE, who presented at an Allied meeting 2 weeks ago, which is a disability initiative in the College of Engineering here at Northeastern. So in terms of our main mission is to empower the disabled, neurodivergent, and chronically ill community at Northeastern. And we kind of have three main tenets to that, which is education, innovation, and collaboration. And in terms of our goals, we really want to educate the general student population here at Northeastern, as well as disabled students, about all things disability related. And the way that we accomplish that is through our weekly meetings that we host, as well as various awareness campaigns. And we also want to just improve the school by finding areas where disabled students at Northeastern, as well as administrators within the university, can work to improve current infrastructure and existing policies. And we also want to collaborate with the broader university, as I mentioned, but also other groups and organizations on campus to help achieve these three key tenets of our mission. So in terms of our initiatives and accomplishments, I separated them into two main categories, but the first one is community building and events. And I just wanted to quickly highlight first that we now have 170 plus members on our Discord, which is our primary platform that we use to kind of communicate with our club members. And I just wanted to highlight that because we're very proud of that. And we're a new club. We've grown that much in 2 years, which is very exciting. But in terms of events, our first main event I wanted to highlight is our now annual DRC breakfast, which I'll call annual because we've hosted it 2 years in a row. And we plan to host it again in the future. But that is a great event that's hosted in the Disability Resource Center every fall during Welcome Week. And we basically get to recruit new members, meet disabled students, and also it gives them the opportunity to meet with and interact with staff members in the DRC as well. We also have a disabled community hour, which we've had, I want to say the past 2 semesters now, thanks to Mona and Allied for reserving a room for us to be able to do that. We're very grateful. And this week, actually on Tuesday, we held our first community event during that time. So we had a boba and arts and crafts night, which was very fun. We made some disability zines. We did friendship bracelet making, lots of fun activities. And there were the room was packed. There was no empty seats. So we were very glad to be able to do that. We also, this is upcoming, but I was on our Discord the other day and saw that our members, after attending the boba and crafts night, were talking about doing an autism coffee chat. So that is something that members themselves are planning, which I think goes to show how important that community and friendship building is, because now we're inspiring members to put on their own events, which is amazing. I also wanted to highlight an event we did last semester, which was our Ideation Day. And we did this in collaboration with Vital, which is a healthcare innovation group here on campus. And we basically had an ideation session on addressing accessibility on college campuses. I also wanted to talk about an event we did last fall, I believe, with NU Share, which is a large sexual health, reproductive health advocacy group here on campus. So we had an event with them on disability and sex, which was very great as well. And this next event isn't necessarily a diversibility event, but last week I spoke at the Society for Participatory Medicine and Northeastern workshop on the Patient Perspectives panel. It was basically a workshop on advancing health equity through participatory medicine. And I spoke at that event both as the president of Diversibility and also as a public health undergraduate student. So I thought it was important to highlight as well. We've also had a Paralympian panel in the past with Tyler Walker, who was a Paralympic skier that I believe has graduated from Northeastern. I think he was a master's student here. We've also done co-op panels as well. And then we also host weekly meetings every week, as I mentioned. And some of the notable ones from this semester were disability in music, disability and mental health, which we had this week was actually our most attended meeting of the semester, which was great. And we also had a meeting on accessible design. And then in terms of advocacy and collaboration, we consulted on the construction of the EXP building, which is Northeastern's newest building that's just right across from this one. And we're also currently consulting on the SGA which is the Student Government Association's Women's Center proposal. We've also worked with the CSI office, Center for Student Involvement, to streamline the accommodations request process for different campus events, specifically Fall Fest, which is our club fair every fall, after we had a negative experience where we showed up to Fall Fest and the chairs that we requested as an accommodation were not present, and we had to go steal some chairs from the Disability Resource Center. So we worked with them afterwards to kind of problem solve and streamline that process. We're also in constant communication with the DRC, bringing them student concerns and discussing how we can improve those moving forward, and also just increase the transparency between what happens in the DRC and what disabled students on campus are experiencing. We've also been featured in the Huntington News as well as the Boston Globe several times, which we're so grateful for. We talked about COVID, we talked about accessibility of green spaces, a lot of different topics. And then we've also connected with several different organizations and offices here on campus, including Dr. Carl Reed, who's the Chief Inclusion Officer. And we've also worked with a bunch of other groups, as I mentioned, and some of them include NU Pride, Multi, and Signing Huskies. These are just some photos I just wanted to highlight really quickly of some of our past events. The photo in the top left is from our DRC breakfast that we held this September. And there's a bunch of students sitting around a table smiling at the camera with diversity flyers on the table. And Carl Reed is also there standing in the background somewhere. I think, yes, he's in the back. I see him. But yeah, so that was our breakfast event. The picture below that on the bottom left is a picture from our disability presentations night we had a couple semesters back. And there's a student standing in the front of the room presenting on her disability, and I'm watching in the corner. The picture in the middle is from, I think, one of our first bigger events that we had right before we received official recognition, which was very exciting. And that was an end of semester celebration. So there's a couple of students that are pictured with some games in the back, and there's someone holding a bottle of hot sauce, which was the prize that she won from the games that we were playing. The picture in the top right is from one of our first meetings of the semester. I want to say maybe last semester or the semester before that. And there's a bunch of students sitting at tables smiling at the camera. And then the bottom right picture is from an event we had with Volt Hockey at the Boston Self-Help Center, which was created by a student from Northeastern who has since graduated. And he invited some Diversibility members and e-board to come play Volt Hockey and try out some of the chairs, which was very exciting for us. In terms of future directions and goals, I would say one big thing is definitely further collaboration with the DRC, as well as the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Office, along with CSI. And we also would love to continue forming coalitions with other disability groups on campus, as well as other advocacy organizations, because there's truly power in numbers. And whenever we have meetings with higher level administrative groups on campus, they always kind of drive that home and reinforce that we need more people, and it would be great to kind of connect with Allied and all these people. So that's something that we're definitely working towards. We'd also love to host guest speakers in the future. We currently, since we're a new organization, we don't have funding from the university. We are able to apply for a supplemental budget for specific events. So we've done that once with our DRC breakfast this past year, but definitely working towards having the funding to host guest speakers in the future would be great. We're also working for next semester to get Diversibility graduation stoles, because we feel like, in my personal opinion, disabled students have to work a lot harder in many ways, navigating higher education. So we think that our graduating seniors from Diversibility deserve to be recognized and celebrated as they walk across the stage at graduation. So we'd love to get some stoles for them. And also ensuring the longevity of our organization is really important. Recruitment is definitely a big thing. A lot of us are upperclassmen, juniors and seniors. So we're trying to work on recruiting freshmen as well as new upperclassmen as well. Also financing, as I mentioned, working towards a yearly budget instead of supplemental budgets for different events, just so that we always have funding we can rely on. And also continuing to have community events. Our boba and crafts night was very successful, and after seeing that and knowing that we have that community space, we're definitely hoping to host more events like that in the future. And we're also, this is a little bit of a personal goal, but we've talked about it as well as an e-board, We'd love to create more disability justice initiatives across colleges here at Northeastern, similarly to what DICE has done in the College of Engineering. I mentioned I'm a public health student, so I'm very passionate about doing similar work in Bouvet, which is our College of Health Sciences. And I have to be honest, I saw what Brown was doing last year, and I attended that one event that you said had like 450 registered people. So that kind of inspired me to want to do a similar initiative. And I was like, if Brown's doing it, we have to do something too. So that's one of my goals, but also a goal of the club in general. And also our main long-term goal is definitely continuing to work towards a disability cultural center here on campus. We obviously appreciate all the work that the DRC does to provide accommodations for disabled students, but the DRC is simply a service provider. They're not a community space where disabled students can hang out and create friendships with one another and host events or anything like that. So that's definitely, I would say, our biggest long-term goal. That is all I have. I just wanted to say thank you for having me come speak a little bit about Diversability. On the slide here, we have a QR code, which takes you to our link tree where you can find our email, our Discord, our Instagram. Our Instagram is NU Diversability, and our email is nudiversibility@gmail.com. And then the top left of the slide says our meeting times, which is Mondays at 6 p.m. in Richard's room 165. And I think we have 2 more meetings left for this semester, but we will be back same time, probably new space, hopefully more accessible next semester. But thank you for having me.
Thanks so much, Emma. You're doing wonderful work, and we're getting inspiration from all the events that you're running in terms of what we can do at Brown. So without further ado, I want to welcome Farheen to speak about Allied's work. Farheen Zubair is a final year graduate student at Northeastern. She's majoring in information sciences and is the project manager for the disability centered project named Allied. She'll tell you more about. Farheen has been working with Allied for about a year now and continues to help organize and promote disability-related talk series at Northeastern to help increase accessibility and inclusion at Northeastern. So thank you and welcome.
First of all, thank you, Alexa, and thank you to the Brown University for collaborating with us on this event. I'm really happy to have all of you here. I am the Allied project manager, and I'm a white woman in her 20s. This is the first time I'm giving my audio description to a visual description of myself, so just apologize if I'm a little conscious. I have black-brown hair, long black-brown hair. I'm wearing a gray shirt and a black pant, and I'm wearing pink glasses. So yeah, let me pull in the first look. So today I'll be talking to you about Allied. So we have the Allied logo that is displayed on the board, and the L forms a person with a disability, a person in a wheelchair with another L forming a home, just to show inclusion and access, inclusion in our university. So Allied stands for Allies for Leading Learning, Inclusion, and Education of Disabilities at Northeastern University. It was founded by Professor Mona Minkara, who is an assistant professor in the Department of Bioengineering. And it was co-founded by Professor Sandra Scheffelbein, a professor in the bioengineering and mechanical engineering. And I'm the Allied project manager, and I'm doing masters in information systems. So it would do justice only to know from their mouth how they thought about this initiative and how they came up with this project. So I would like Professor Mona and Professor Sandra to talk a few lines about this project.
Okay, I'm covered up. Okay, thank you. Okay. So I mean I can tell the story. Basically, I started at Northeastern the fall of 2019. I was a newbie professor. I actually didn't know anybody else who was disabled in faculty at the time. And then 2020 hit, and as we all remember, that's when the pandemic hit, right? It was like, so then we were kind of in hibernation for a year, and I was kind of in my own little silo. But when we came out and I was talking to Professor Sandra Scheffelbein, who's my mentor, I was like, I feel like there aren't many groups that talk about disabilities, and I want to be able to connect with not just other faculty, but faculty, students, staff, like where's this community of disability? So we wrote a grant, we submitted it. I have to give props to Sandra. She did a lot of the writing. But submitted it to ODEI, and they were like, "This is great. You're funded." And Allied began. So that's the beginning of the story. It's a story of me trying to find my tribe, my people, So
Sam, would you like to say a few?
So part of what disability
oh, and yeah. No, yeah. I also have to for everybody on Zoom who doesn't know me or anybody in the room, I identify as being blind. I'm almost totally blind. So yeah, that's a disability I have. But yeah, take it away, Sandra. Sorry.
So I'm Sandra. I'm a professor in bioengineering, mechanical engineering. I have curly hair and I'm tall. And so in being a mentor for a faculty, kind of help them learn how to be a faculty person. And it was quite surprising to me how unprepared we were to have a faculty member who was disabled. And I thought that was strange that we were so unprepared for it. So I think it's important not only for disabled people to have a community, but for abled people to understand the issues and to be advocates. So that's why I'm involved, and I've learned so much through being involved with Allied.
I would just come to you with like all these questions.
And trying to fit Mona into the way we do things, it doesn't work. You have to do things differently. And I think that's opening your eyes to we could do it differently. Why don't we do it differently? I think that was really powerful.
Thank you, Mona, and thank you, Sandra. So over here, I would like to ask all of you just one question. So how do you think we can start a disability organization in campus? What is the first step? What do you think is the first step to starting any kind of organization which is for a social cause in an organization? Anyone?
We get people.
Yes. Yes, that is all about Allied, to get people in. To get people and funds in. So yeah. So how it all started. So according to American Disability Act, a physical or mental impairment that substantially limits daily activities is called a disability. It can be visible or invisible. So what we realized is that people or individuals at universities faced many different kinds of isolations and exclusions from participation in societal community organizations and even engagement with the community. So any university's mission, not just Northeastern's, what would it be? It would be to attracting and maintaining a diverse faculty and student body and need for inclusivity and support for all kinds of community members. So the current gap, what I feel in our Northeastern University is to not knowing the resources we have. We have a disability resource center, which I'm sure many of us don't know about. So the difficulty in accessing such resources, lack of awareness among faculty, students, and staff members, that's what has caused the current gap in between disability services. So how did the Allied project start? Sorry. So our mission is to advocate discussions and raise awareness about disabilities. We foster a cultural shift towards inclusivity at Northeastern University and build a supportive community for members with disabilities and their allies. So what we have different from other organizations in Northeastern is we bring in not just people from the university, but also from all the disabled community around us, whether it's from the United States or outside. We reach out to a lot of people and bring them in just to have a discussion around disability. What are our objectives? To promote understanding and awareness of disability issues, highlighting and advertising available campus resources for disability support. So when I joined Allied a year ago, I did not know anything about disability. I did not even know what accessibility means or inclusion means. the first time I met Mona, she explained to me that this is what you got to do, this is what you have. So I sat, I did my research, and when I realized there's a lot more than just inclusion and accessibility to the disabled community in our Northeastern. We got to help people come in, and we got to help them. Can I just have some water? Just a minute. Sorry. So we wanted to bring in a broader disability community together to foster different conversation around disabilities in our campus. So this is our timeline, the ALAT timeline that I would say. So ALAT started in September 2021, with our first event being on the 12th of October 2021 by Sarah Minkara. She came in and spoke about how she became internationally a champion in inclusion and diversity. So from then on, we've had about 10 events till 2022 of January. And throughout the year, we had about 20 different kinds of events, whether it was panel discussions, group events, general roundtable discussions. And then this year, we had another funding from the ODEI, which we are really thankful for. And this year, we had about 25 events until the April of 2023. And this is our 42nd event. And till next year, we have already planned out the event schedule. So some of our key events for the previous semester were, actually, this was my first event that I came into. That was by a YouTuber called Syed Al Mohammed, and he spoke about how to stay hopeful through addiction. He told about his personal experience with alcoholism, and he addressed how it can be overcome. And he even gave us insight on his life and about different kinds of addictions. And another speaker, very interesting, was an alumni of Northeastern. Her name is Samantha Johnson, and she's a founder of Tantum Robotics. She came in and spoke about how she is building communication for the deafblind. She built a robotic arm, which soon you'll be seeing in another picture where we are getting to see the robotic arm in person. So she came in and spoke about how she built it and why she built it and how it can be used and when they are going to be putting it out. So another interesting event that we had was building an inclusive and diverse community by our very own Chief Inclusion Officer and Vice Provost, Dr. Carl Reed. He came in and spoke about how we can create an inclusion as a part of a diverse community. And another event that I was really interested in was by attorney at law, Rizwan Al Huda, from the Disability Law Center. He spoke about the rights of people with disabilities, how they are going to bring in disabilities in different workplaces and public accommodations and housing. So from a project manager's point of view, you heard a point of view of different people. So I would like to tell you a point of view from a project manager. So the main key when you're starting an organization would be to know your audience, whether it's the youth or whether it's leaders or whether it's who is it. So in our case, it was disabled and non-disabled students. So I wanted to know what their inputs were. So we took feedback from a lot of students in the beginning as to what they want to talk about and what kind of events they wanted to listen. And so accordingly, I reached out to different people from Professor Mona's contacts or Professor Sandra's contacts, and even generally the professors in our university to come to our events and speak about different disability related topics. Then following up with the speakers till the day of the event, I had to organize the events, follow up with the speakers, get to know your audience and the speakers, and then hosting the events. On the day of the event, you have to get to know your speaker, ask for their accommodation, and know how the event is going to happen. Updating social media handles. So a main part of being a project manager is to take care of the social media of your project. So updating whatever the event is going to be, their posters, there's new newsletters, and the cycle continues. So what would be our future goals? So we would like to continue to conduct a variety of events like panel discussions, roundtable discussions, workshops, and keynote speakers. And we wanted to maintain our 4 pillars, that is marketing, promotion, finance, and networking. We would also like to collaborate, like recently we collaborated with a very new initiative in our Northeastern University, that is the DICE. So just like that, we would like to collaborate with more organizations, not just in Northeastern, but also outside, like the DRC, the ODEI, the LGBTQA, the Diversibility, etc. So I wanted to know, I wanted you to know about some of our upcoming events laid out for the spring semester. So these are a few events that are laid out. So on the 26th of January, we have Dr. Rory Cooper, who's a professor of bioengineering working on innovations of different types of wheelchair in the University of Pennsylvania. And on the 9th of February, we have our very own Professor Meryl Alper, who's a professor in communication studies. She'll be coming here for her book launch with our event. And she has written a book on kids across the spectrums growing up autistic in the digital age. Then we also have another student from the Brown University on 15th of March called Logan Jin. He'll be talking about his work on promoting disability awareness. On 12th of April, we'll have Amelia Noor Ashiro, who is a suicide prevention advocate, and she'll be talking about how she helped people and her personal experience with suicide prevention. So these are our key results. This is a graph on the screen. So we started, Mona and Sandra started with a group of 2 in 2021. Then they built on with a group of about 5 in 2022 with the project managers and the founders. And right now, okay, there was a 0 mistake. So we had a community of 300 plus. We have about 250 subscribers and 300 plus Instagram followers, and a lot of people who follow us on YouTube and other social media.
What's on our YouTube?
All our videos. So on our YouTube channel, we have all our videos from all different events starting from 2021. So this is our picture gallery. The first picture on the left top is of Mona using the robotic arm created by Samantha Johnson. Yeah. And the picture below it is the event with Dr. Carl Reed and all the different students. And the next picture to the right of the last event, last picture is a event by Joy Mikkel. She spoke about neurodiversity. She's a speech language pathologist. And towards the right corner is an event by an MGH, the Massachusetts General Hospital coordinator. And she spoke about disability program at MGH. And yeah, so these are our volunteers, our allies, and our champions who've helped me and the founders conduct all the events, raise awareness, spread word about the event, promote it. So thank you. So thank you all of you for being present here today. If you want to know more about our events, please do subscribe to our newsletters, and you can contact us at ally@northeastern.edu. Those are our social media handles. And our next event is going to be on the 8th of December, which is by an autistic coordinator in MGH. She's going to be talking about how she navigates and treats autistic patients and adults, which include adults and youth. So yeah, so thank you everyone. Thank you, Alexa, for moderating this.
And thank you, Farheen. And pardon? And just so everyone knows, please don't leave on Zoom because it's not over. We've been running on crypt time today. So if you have if you have time to stay a little over, like 10 minutes or so, then we'll be able to ask the presenters some questions from Zoom, from in the in-person group. So if you're on Zoom, you can ask some in the chat. We already, I think, have a couple in there. That Oyen Oligbegi, who's from the DJAF, one of the DJAF coordinators, and also a Northeastern alum, will just share a question that we have from Zoom for the presenters. And if any of you want to come up to answer the questions, then feel free to just like come up and be ready for that. Or if you want to stay where you are, that's cool, whatever you want. Yeah, it's a team effort today, so you're meeting a lot of our gang. All right.
Okay. See, can't see myself. Hi, everyone. So the first question that we have is, how is the relationship between these groups in disability services? This person is coming from University of Rhode Island, and they're saying that there's been significant resistance from disability services.
This is Aranal again from Brown. I can say that there's definitely been a shift over the years. Earlier on, at Brown, our accommodation office is called SAS, which is Student Accessibility Services. Early on, they were not very excited about working with DJAB. Now, they're much more excited. They're really interested in collaborating. Our biggest challenge with them has been they have 3 really amazing people, but we have over 2,500 students with accommodations, and 3 of them cannot do everything that needs to be done. I think they hired a 4th person. But so for us, they've generally been interested in working with us. But at least from the Brown perspective, it's been a capacity issue primarily.
Yeah, I also just want to add, I think also earlier on, I think our big push was for a cultural center, and I think well, it still is, but I think they had offered to kind of sponsor that, and we were very firm that we want to make sure that when we create space, that it's a space for all students with disabilities, not just those who have documented diagnoses. And so I think that was kind of where the rift existed, because, you know, in order to get accommodations, you need documentation, you need a diagnosis. And so we wanted to make sure that we could create space for all students. And so I think that's why originally, like, there was kind of a disconnect, but now like we're kind of working together to try to like get the word that we exist like as a support space for students out there. And they're helping us with that. So it's been going well. Yeah.
This is Emma again from Northeastern. I would say that we kind of face similar issues to Brown in terms of working with the DRC here, or Disability Resource Center is the name that they go by. I think there's definitely a lot of staffing and capacity issues as well. They told us sometime that 1/10 of the university is served through them. So that's I don't know the exact number of students here at Northeastern, but that's a very large number. We're a very large institution. And I think there's just, once again, not enough staff to kind of meet the needs of the students. And there's also been kind of a constant rotation of staff as well, and turnaround, which has kind of left students without advisors for long periods of time. So I think they are very willing to work with us and welcoming of us. We used to have a like advisor through them that wasn't like necessarily serving as a DRC specialist, but more as like a club advisor and liaison between our group and the DRC, which was really great. And we're still in contact with her, but she moved to a different office recently. So we're kind of going through a period of transition with that. I think the biggest problem we've faced is kind of students not really wanting to work with them as much, just because of the unfortunate negative experiences that they've had as a result of these understaffing problems and, you know, turnaround of advisors and not having advisors. So we're kind of working to kind of bridge those gaps and show them that they're not the worst. We can work with them through events like the DRC breakfast, where we just kind of get to know one another and talk through these issues. So we're working on it.
Did you want to answer? Did you want to answer as well? Okay. And does anyone have any questions in the room for our lovely presenters?
Yeah, I have a question for DJAP and DJAP. So you guys said sometimes community challenges was a shit they would get heated or like watched. Can you talk a little bit more about what?
Yeah, so sort of thinking about the ways that we really disability justice really looks at a lot of like structural systemic challenges, and a lot of times universities don't really want to look at the bigger structural things, and sort of want to give accommodations, want to give sort of band-aid solutions rather than sort of a deeper cultural shift. So when we're sort of advocating for this deeper cultural shift, that has been a challenge, I would say, just in terms of figuring out where our goals align with people that are employed by the university.
Anyone else?
I had some questions on the sheet.
Oh, I actually have one. So, what are your top, 1 or 2 tips for anyone, say, imagine a student wants to start a disability related group at their campus or even their high school or something like that. Or if folks aren't in higher ed per se, but they just want to integrate more disability advocacy and literacy into their, workplace or whatever initiatives they're involved with, what would you suggest to them?
So I'm Farheen, and I would say it always takes small steps to reach a bigger milestone. So even if you just record yourself and talk about disability related topics and put it online, it just takes one to just start a bigger organization. So just take the initiative, take help, listen to the people who are interested in it, reach out to others, and know your audience, just like how I said earlier. And so, yeah, that's one of my tips.
I think one of the things that's the most important can also be the hardest, which is finding other people who are excited about it. We've had this at Brown where there are a lot of people really excited about this work, but it has been hard for everyone to find each other. So a little bit of like looking for you, in some ways you have to really search for people that have similar passions because they are out there. They're just maybe you don't realize. So I think that's been both really important that like in terms of capacity, like one person can really start something, but really working as a group has been really helpful, but also recognizing that it might take time to find your people, but it will be worth it.
Yeah, I would also add this to Anna, by the way. I'll add that like especially looking for students who are underclassmen or like different class years is also really important. I think a pattern we've seen in DJAB is like when I started on the e-board, like essentially all other members were graduating. And so it was really challenging because I'm like, okay, like I'm a white woman, like I should not be leading this. And so then, taking the time and effort to go try to like find other people and, essentially build it back up right after everyone leaves is like it's a challenge. And so having that continuity is super important, and to be able to like have that like community like continuously grow is paramount to like making sure that these organizations kind of continue to exist and the advocacy continues to happen.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think one of our biggest challenges has just been like finding people in general. But we at this point we have 170 plus members on Discord, so there are a lot of students and a lot of people that want to do this work and are excited about it, but finding them is really difficult. And also for disabled people, it can be hard to kind of gather everyone at one time to like have a meeting or do something like that because disability is so dynamic and constantly changing. So it's hard to gather all those people. I think also making sure that like your organization is reflective of like the diversity of disabilities and identities that are present at Northeastern is a big thing for us. This is like the first semester that we've had members that identify as both hard of hearing and blind. That's something we haven't had in the past. That was very exciting to see new people coming in. And I think also it just happened to work out for us this way, but I think the past 2 years, our e-board is 6 people and half identify as neurodivergent and the other half identify as either physically disabled, chronically ill, or something else. So I think that that's great that it happened to work out like that and we have a good balance. And I also think that once you do get people for your own organization, working to find other organizations doing similar work is really important. Obviously, we were allied. We've also done work with the LGBTQ+ Resource Center. They do events once a month called OWAMs, which are one weekday a month, I think it's for. So we've collaborated with them on some of those events in the past, which is basically events that are talking about the intersection of disability and queerness and other identities. So I think forming those coalitions are really important to gaining larger numbers and continuing to build on the advocacy efforts of all the groups.
All right, thank you all so much for those lovely responses. And with that, we'll hand it back over to Farheen to close off the event. Thank you, Bree.
Thank you everyone for attending another talk from the Allied Talk series. So please do continue to show us your support. And as I already said, our next event is on the December 8th, and it is about a patient navigator for autistic youth and adults. So please be there in ISIC room 332, and it's from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. And all our socials are on the screen, and hopefully it's seen to everyone on the Zoom as well. So, and a big shout out to Brown University's DJAP and DCHAV organizations. So we will continue to collaborate with many other universities in the future. And this is your co-host, signing off for today. Thank you, Alexa.
Thank you for being a part of this impactful discussion. Your commitment to making a difference in disability advocacy on campus is commendable. For further inquiries, reach out to allied@northeastern.edu. Until next time, stay engaged, stay passionate, and keep making a difference. Thank you, and see you at our next event.